It's Monday the 11th. Just in my room because it's late and it's dark outside. Well, it's not super late. It's 9:53, and not actually for kind of the first time since I started doing this. Not really super in the mood, just because it's late in the day and just fucking hungry. Uh, but I'm afraid if I wait till tomorrow to catch up on today's stuff, that I'll forget things. So, well, the nice thing was me and Angie both woke up, and there's probably some kind of, they're watching TV in the next room, so it's probably Handmaiden's Tale or Handmaid's Tale or whatever the hell that show is spill over in the speakers. But um, this was the second day that I still woke up around like 7, I think. And Angie and I both, and then this is our headboard that I made backwards. Well, the kids and I made a few years ago. Angela and Luke with a heart. Um, we're crafty like that. But anyway, woke up at like 7 o'clock or whatever time it was. I don't know. And actually fell back asleep again. That was nice. Angie fell back asleep, and we conked out. And I think almost may have caught up on sleep. I didn't wake up again until 11:30, and it was nice. Not that I didn't have a ton of shit to do, but it was nice. So we had some lunch. We discussed some things because Clay, my brother Clay, he had set up with a monument place, or gravestone memorial place that makes those for us to meet. So we were gonna meet at 4, and so we had stuff we needed to do before that and whatever, and then um, the stuff that I found out talking to the funeral home people out west, I didn't really catch up because that was when I ended up getting a hold of them, was, I don't know, evening our time. Of course, we're 3 hours ahead from out there, so that is kind of helpful in this whole situation. We're 3 hours ahead of everything, so things don't have to be done so early. But I spoke with the lady there, and she was really nice and helpful, and kind of gave me the game plan for how things have to be done and what needs to, the timeline and options and all this, which in this case, we're going to, primarily because we all think that's what he would want, is for cremation, and then we're going to scatter some ashes and then the remainder will be interned, buried. Uh, some of these things have such clinical sounding, interned. Um, you know, the vocabulary that goes along with death. Um, so, as I'm working on the out west stuff, Clay's working on the near stuff, and I didn't want to, because the lady on Saturday said, hypothetically, if we were to get her certain paperwork back the next day, which would have been Sunday, then, she could get that right off in the morning, Monday, to like the coroner's office and whoever out there, pardon me, in the state, gives cremation permits and the timeline, blah, blah, blah. And, it's like that would probably be 3 or 4 days before they get that back. And then now there's pretty much ubiquitous in the funeral industry there, wherever, anywhere, like 7-day backlog on people being cremated. So we're looking at, like, best case scenario, maybe 10 days, maybe on the outside 14 days once they get the paperwork back. Well, in many ways it would have been prudent to get that back to him yesterday, but yesterday was Mother's Day, and I wanted as we all did, Angie to have, and grandma and my mom to have as good of Mother's Day as possible. And I didn't think having to go over next of kin paperwork for Nathaniel would be the best thing to do on Mother's Day. So, and then just catching everybody up and the kids and everything on what I found out about various options for containers and this and that and the other. It's like, uh, by the time I got all the information Saturday evening, I didn't want to make that the end of the day for us, and then I sure as hell didn't want that to be Mother's Day. Um, at this point, I think adding one day onto the end is not that huge of a deal. Well, the end of what needs to happen out west, all that kind of stuff. So whatever. But anyway, so I caught everyone up today after lunch in the house. Angie, Caleb, Lydia, Charity, and then everyone wanted to go over for the meeting at the funeral. Or I'm sorry, the cemetery stone joint, whatever you call that place. And so we met over there at 4, and the fellow there was very professional and genteel. And I mean, I really didn't know exactly what to expect because previously our gravestone, well, our family plots, my grandparents very intentionally did all of that. They bought family plots with extra plots, and they had one big gravestone put there that um, thus far my grandpa is there, who died when I was 20 in 1998, shortly before I turned 21. And then my dad died in 2009, and then he's there on one side of my grandpa, buried. They're all buried, traditional casket. And then my grandma, aka Granny, died in 2012, I think, and she's on the other side of my grandpa. So we have multiple plots. Well, um, they already had their gravestone even before they passed away. They had the gravestone; it was engraved with Doherty on it, and then so just my grandpa's name was added when he passed away, and then my dad and my grandma. So I've never gone through the experience of, nor has my brother, the gravestone part of it, the memorial, monument, whatever you want to call it, because that already existed. So when my dad died, and we had a lot to do with his situation as far as the funeral, and then particularly when Granny, he and I were pretty much on point with that. So we dealt with the burial stuff and whatever, but not the actual stone. So this is a new experience for me and him, really all of us, I guess. So they had kind of a showroom, if you call it that, of stones, and we pretty quickly, found, and when he had ideas and pointed us in the right direction, um, and then we found one that matched, as far as we can tell, pretty much exactly the type of stone that other stone is. And so then we went into kind of a conference room, and there's a big TV screen on the wall, and then there's a gravestone, and like the mock-up, and then we just start, we're all just sitting there. It's just these are the weird these are the weird things. They're weird. Uh, you know, I mean, these like, and I'm not complaining. It's just, it's weird. It's like, not only, 2 weeks ago, well, not 2 weeks ago, uh, less than a month ago, Nathaniel was still home. He was in this house. And then, he flew away. And then a little over a week ago, or around a week ago, because nobody knows exactly, he passed away. And then now we're sitting around a few, some hours ago, we're sitting around like a conference table, and we're all in, nice comfortable chairs, and we're staring at a screen on the wall. And, it's like, here's, his name, and are we going to put the middle name? Are we not going to put the middle name? And it's like, are we going to do it like this? Is there going to be a dash? How is the date's going to be arranged? Is one going to be over the other? Is one going to be on this side and this side? And then there's like some kind of symbol in the middle, and you're sitting there, and my wife's right next to me, and, she's, of course, trying to focus, but also crying. And then, the kids are there and they're solemn, and my brother's there, and then the gentleman's trying to do, his best job because he deals with people and their families dying all the time. I don't know why my hands are going so big. I feel like fucking Bill Gates, a fucking nerd. Uh, it's just surreal. It's weird. And then when you're in positions like that, then you you know, it's what you know, that any week could be a week out from when you are once again sitting at nice comfortable chairs adjacent to a nice gravestone showroom, designing someone else's memorial stone. Or you've checked out and your loved ones are sitting around designing yours. Who the fuck knows? Nobody. Well, so I guess it makes a lot of sense to do your damnedest to live well and happily, and not put important shit off that you could deal with, and make sure that your relationships are as good as they can be. So much is up to you. Um, Try to make sure that there aren't too many loose ends, because I didn't know that a big part of last week and this week would be spent coming up with the plans to bury or cremate and then transport his remains, and my 20-year-old son, who lived less than half as long as the life that I've lived so far, because I'm 42. I have been lucky enough that my lifespan thus far is, if I could reverse it, I would. If I could be the one right now that was having my grave, if I had the power to be the one whose stone was being designed, and Nathanael had to get the bad news about me, and then he had flown home to sit around that comfortable table and comfortable chairs and air conditioned surroundings, and be the one designing my stone right now, that's what I would choose. But I can't choose that. And when I think about my dad, it's like my dad, it's like, what a fucking ripoff. I mean, he died of cancer at 60, and I think about how young he was, relatively speaking. But his life was 3 times as long as Nathaniel's. And I think about my grandpa or my granny. One lived to be 87, one lived to be 89. Their lives were more than 4 times the length of Nathaniel's. Does this make sense? No. Is there a certain economy of fairness to any of this? No. So we do the best we can. So try to live well, try to love hard, try to enjoy yourself. I'm just talking to myself. Uh, don't feel guilty when things are going well. You know, so we got the gravestone pretty much designed, less a few tweaks. And then we went back to my brother's, which wasn't too far away, and we hung out there, and that was a good time. And I was just, I felt today like I was kind of moving in slow motion in a way. Like, you know how when you're in water and it's just like you try to punch and it's like a little slow. It's like, not to that degree, but kind of. But, uh, so in comparing one day to the next, I woke up, got out of bed, you know, whatever. I was up about 11:30 or whatever, and got out of bed shortly after. And, uh, and I hadn't taken a run in a while. Just really since this whole like coronavirus thing, it's like I put a lot of miles on bikes every week, just more like my transportation and for fun, and then I walk and then I run. Since the whole COVID thing, I don't know, I've really just been walking more than riding, which is weird because I love riding, but that's just what I've been doing. But I haven't been running really at all for about a month. And I try to go out at least once or twice a week, which I fucking hate running. I don't I don't enjoy it really. The only thing that I appreciate the good impact that it has on my health and my physical condition. So I run, not because I like to, not because I particularly want to, but it fills a particular hole that nothing else does exactly. So anyway, but I've been slacking. So this morning I woke up, I was like, you know what? You got a good night's sleep. Motherfucker, go run. So I went on a mile walk and a mile run. It's like half mile, mile run, and a mile walk home. So that was good. And and then I got in the shower about, I don't know, 12:30. Second shower that I've taken since we heard about Nathaniel's passing last Tuesday night. And I actually shaved. So that was good. And I think the first time I cried today was in the shower. And you know, it's like the things you remember. I remember this with my dad. It's like the things that would pop out. It's like that Warren Zevon song. It's like keep me in your heart for a while. You know, it's like the buttons on your blouse. You know, keep me in your. Uh, so it's, you know, the funniest things. And I was taking a shower, and I remember when Nathaniel got back and Caleb got back from Utah, and this whole COVID shit was blowing up, and everyone's at the store. You know, so we were out. We were trying to get, you know, things, just to be wise, and he's getting some body wash, or, you know, we were like, oh, we need some body wash or soap or whatever, and I was like, yeah, you know, I like this particular 3-in-1 stuff to wash my hair and my beard, and, you know, regular old soap, you know, just to wash with, and he was like, oh well, I have this stuff, and he'd just gotten it, and it was 5-in-1, you know. I was like, I didn't even know there was such a thing, and I cracked some kind of joke about, you know, you can wash your head and your fucking asshole with the same stuff, you know, this is wonders of technology or something, and but so he got 2 bottles of this 5-in-1 stuff when he was here. Well, one of them he left in the shower, so today I'm in there, you know, and I'm using some of his 5-in-1 stuff. And I'm and I'm thinking, you know, this was something that he bought. He spent his money. Like, this is at some point in the future going to get used up, and then the plastic's going to get thrown in the trash. You know, and like so many things, it's like with what is left behind, it, you know, gets used up. Like my dad, when he passed away, he had this homemade salsa that he made that was in his fridge, and I brought that home and we like ate it, and it just so eerie. It was so eerie to me that something that my father's hands, chop the tomatoes and the onions and everything, and like he cooked his salsa down. I make mine like fresh. I don't cook it. He cooked it down. That's how he did it. Whatever. But it was good. But it's like I tried to space this out as long as I could because I'm like, there's something that my father made that I'm eating and it's going inside it's going inside me like some kind of communion or something. But salsa only goes so far and it's gone. And then kind of mem- that kind of little weird memorial, that one is gone. And then there's maybe something else left and that goes away over time. Well, it's the 5-in-1 Irish Spring. So I'm using the 5-in-1 Irish Spring this morning, and and I'm thinking about that, and I'm thinking about how it was just nice when he was back, and we were going around, we were working on this together. So what do we need? What do we need? On the shopping trip that we made, that I think it was the day they got back. Yeah, it was the day they got back, and I just started crying, and I was like, not because I think he hears me, but I was just, it's like I'm talking to this fucking laptop like a dumbass. I'm just talking to the shower, you know, and I'm saying, you know, like it's okay, Nathaniel, like, you know, I'm not mad, and I'm like, I'm glad that you lived adventurously, and I'm glad that you knew who you were, and I'm glad, and I'm like, just I'm just, getting it off my chest basically with the suds and tears, and but the shower is a good place to cry for various reasons of utility. Can't remember the last time I cried in the shower, but anyway, but that was afternoon, so making it a little bit farther each day. And then we got home, and Caleb and I went on a walk over to the store, and we had a good chat. And he was talking about trying to stay positive and trying to impact things that you can, and all this. And anyway, we got home, and I just figured I better do this. Oh, this was interesting. Uh, we got back to my brother's, and he lives in Fountain Square, and I was sitting down on the front porch just by myself for a few, and I was smoking a cigarette and sipping a little scotch. And I looked over, like a couple houses over, where there's a it's a house with, it's multi-divided, kind of like a tenement rental place. And there was a lady, I don't know, maybe 35, 40, on the front porch, and there's a guy with a shovel, an old spade in his hand. And it appeared that a red bird had flown in and hit uh, like one of the front windows and died, died on impact. And so he brings the shovel around. Maybe he didn't want to catch fucking coronavirus from or something. And so, he has this beautiful dead red bird on the end of this shovel, and then they walk it around to the back, and they're going to bury it. And it was like this very solemn procession of two, you know. And I was thinking about that, and of course, like I start writing a poem about things to do with that, and that bird appeared to have gone down in its full glory, and I was thinking, there's not a lot of choice, but I'd like to go out while I'm still flying, and I don't even know what that means. And then, and just a little ironic ironies, little interesting. this is and that's of life. Uh, then my brother Clay came out and he was talking to me, and I was talking to him about Nathanael, and I was talking something about like life moving along, whatever, and then I was wearing this like puffer vest that's down, and I had a couple months ago or something, I like smoking a cigarette and drop smashing it and burn a hole, so little pieces of down work their way out, and I put some glue on it, and now the glue's come off, whatever. So I got this one little like stitched up spot where it's getting thinner and thinner on feathers, and the glue had just come back off, so it's like they were sticking through there. And I was talking to him, and I said something about like life moving on, and I was like, yeah, but and then I pulled a couple out and threw them. I was like, but I'm losing feathers as I go, and yeah, the feathers and the flying, it's like something like this. It feels like when you lose a child, it feels like you're marked. Feels like I don't because I'm 42. I don't know if I'm gonna. Do I get as much as my dad? Do I get 60 years? Do I get 87 years? Do I get one more? Who the fuck knows? Uh, I'm just gonna do my best, but it feels like no matter how much I have left after this, it just feels like in a way like you're branded, not externally, but that there's just something that's never ever going to be exactly the same ever. And I don't know what that means. I'm too young in this experience to know what the fuck I'm talking about, because I only have coming up on 7 days of hindsight since that phone first rang and a message was left. And I got that message and I called back and they said, Mr. Doherty, I'm so sorry. And they were sorry. And I just don't think I'm ever going to be the same. Exactly. But anyway, I'm hungry. So I'm probably missing some important stuff, but I'm just glad that I have a strong family. I'm glad that I have great kids. I'm glad that I have a great brother. I'm glad that we have a little bit of change in our pockets. This may fucking, I don't know. I'm not really too concerned about it. There's always more money to be made. But yeah, everything's got a price tag. But whatever. I keep wondering how I get so deep in the time on these. I don't even think I'm ever going to watch these videos. But it's almost 30 minutes, so I'm going to shut it down.